Do rules really matter? This is the question asked by the Yorgos Lanthimos' exaggerated yet accurate take on relationships, The Lobster. A film in which you can't stay single and human at the same time. A film which has clearly defined rules. There's a group of people who follow the law, and there's a rejected group of people who live in the forest called loners who rebel against the law. In this world, if you become or already are single, you'd be sent to a hotel where you can find your partner out of the other single people there. The catch is you have minimum 45 days to do that, or you are turned into an animal of your choice. But the maximum days of your stay depend on how many loners you shoot with your tranquilizer gun to turn them into animals. The more you shoot, the more days are added to your stay. Also, you can't base your relationship on a lie.
These aren't tears, it's just water. I just washed my face.
I knew you were lying. I can't understand why you did it, when you know as well as anyone that a relationship cannot be built on a lie.
And you need to have something in common with your would-be partner.
Because we have a new couple. They met just 2 days ago, but they're very much in love and perfectly suited. They both have the same problem with their noses. They bleed quite suddenly.
And these two rules make things weirdly ironic and really interesting here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I have something to tell you. His nose doesn't really bleed on its own. He bangs it against a wall, or a piece of hardwood, or something like that. Or he cuts it with a penknife when you're not looking. You two are not suited.
Shut up. Dad, tell him to leave. I'm sleepy.
And I'm quite sure that stain on his t-shirt isn't blood, but cherry juice, or tomato ketchup, or red watercolor paint, or something like that. Or beetroot juice.
The Lobster is not a movie with a single message. Maybe the most direct takeaway is its scathing commentary on relationships. The idea of a ticking clock of 45 days resembles that of our world, except in our world it's a lot slower. But once you dig deep into the film, you become aware of more stuff like the propaganda.
It's no coincidence that the targets are shaped like single people and not couples.
Man eats alone.
Or the perfect black and white analytical cube of a world.
Sexual preference?
Women. However, I had one homosexual experience in the past, in college. Is there a bisexual option available?
No, sir. This option is no longer available since about last summer due to several operational problems.
Shoe size, please.
44 and a half.
44 or 45. There are no half sizes.
And Yorgos and his cinematographer don't try to separate the world through cinematography. The world of The Lobster feels much like the one we live in. There's no stylized look to the film. The camera is more of an objective observer than a participant.
For me, it's not necessarily near future or dystopian. What we try to do is make a world, come up with a world which is very familiar to us and it feels like now, but it just has different rules. So that's what we were trying to do.
This helps them to capture the blandness of life and trivialize human emotions.
Sea, or when we're on one of our trips.
Friend.
But here's where Yorgos really makes things confusing. Even if the world feels familiar, the characters don't. I think the movie makes a bigger point by showing us the difference between us and them. It might be the exhaustion and disappointment of the world with this law, or these people might be the reason why the world has turned out the way it has. After watching Dogtooth and now this movie, it is clear that Yorgos Lanthimos is obsessed with the idea of control and freedom, whether it be the government in The Lobster or the parents in Dogtooth. What's interesting in this film is the reaction of David to the rules imposed on him. When David is in the hotel desperately trying to find a suitable partner, he fails at it. I mean, he finds it, but it's not love that brings the heartless woman and David together. It's the ticking clock. It's the desperation. But when there's no deadline or the need to find a partner, when David is with the loners, David finds a partner. And this time it's love that brings them together. It says a lot about contradictory nature of rules. How the laws which take away our freedom to live naturally inherently don't work. Nowhere is it more clear than in my country, India, where the ban culture is taking over. And then comes this last scene. Here David and the short-sighted woman run away from the loner camp to the city and are in some restaurant. Here David is given a difficult choice, whether to blind himself or not. This choice basically stems from the unsaid rule of the Lobster society that you need to have something in common if you want to be together. So why not have blindness in common? This scene tells us that unjust rules, if bombarded on us for enough time, they can blind us from seeing a life beyond that rule. And after everything in this movie, we land here. There's a knife, a mirror, and there's David, literally trying to blind himself.